listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1.
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans, and how are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast. I am your host, Tom Ernest. I know you haven't heard my voice very much. Summer vacation is over, and we are back to football. The Dolphins training camp in full swing. On today's show, we're going to talk about some odds and ends, and I'm going to get into the crux of the conversation at the very end. But before we get going and give you a rundown of today's show, want to give a shout out to our sponsor for the show, Caneswear. And Caneswear is the place to go for officially licensed apparel for the Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Miami Hurricanes, Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, and all of the professional and college teams in South Florida. If you're looking for the latest jersey, a birthday gift, or the newest hat to hit the market of your favorite South Florida team, check out Caneswear for the overwhelming selection of sports apparel. They are located at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida, and Caneswear has it all. If you're not in South Florida, don't worry about it. You can visit Caneswear.com to shop their inventory from the comfort of your home, and they'll ship it to you and international fans too. Caneswear.com is the spot that Miami Dolphins fans shop. That's Caneswear.com, Caneswear.com. All right, for the show, again, a couple odds and end things. We're going to talk about Tyreek Hill and his first Madden 99 rating, and he had some fun with it when he got the briefcase. We're going to talk about some potential issues that are going on in camp. Mike Leva does a great breakdown of camp each and every day. I'm going to piggyback off his show that was released on Monday afternoon. We're going to talk about some of the snapping and O-line issues that we are continuing to see through the first 4 days of camp. Yes, I understand it's still early in the process, but these are consistent problems that we are seeing. We're going to talk about the top 100. Although Mike said on his afternoon show, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to tell you why it does. And last but not least, the Tua contract. And I'm going to go through the breakdown of that contract, how it's structured, how it actually looks and reads, and kind of give you my thoughts on it and what it all means. So let's get into it. Tyreek Hill received a briefcase early on Monday, and when he opened it was a video of Eli Manning going through a congratulations and letting Tyreek know that he is a 99 rated player on Madden. He received a controller with the Dolphins logo on it that was gold, a necklace that said 99 Club, and of course all the heaping praise. And Tyreek Hill is a huge video game person. If you don't know that already, now you do. So it is a big deal for him, and congratulations to Tyreek Hill on the 99 rating. Now let's get into some real talking points. The snapping and offensive line issues continuing into camp on Monday. That was carried over from the first few days of camp, and you can give it an okay. Hey, it's early in camp. It's happening. The center exchanges with the quarterbacks have been a problem. Aaron Brewer, who has had issues with Tennessee when it comes to snapping, I believe he had 4 bad snaps last year, and that's 4 too many for a starting center, particularly in an offense that is built off of timing. You cannot have bad snaps, but it is continuing to plague the Dolphins at practice. They are working Liam Eichenberg as well as Jack Driscoll. They're cross-training them for center. Liam Eichenberg shouldn't have to have any cross-training for center because he was literally the center last year after Connor Williams went down. But here we go. Hopefully this clears itself up, and hopefully it gets cleared up as they start joint practices on August 6th with the Atlanta Falcons leading up to the first preseason game. You want to get some of these things nipped in the bud. Speaking of the offensive line and some of the problems, I know Chris Grier has talked in depth about they're not worried about it. They're not worried about it. I'm worried about it. And we have a lot of reasons as fans to be worried about it. They didn't really replace Robert Hunt, who got a massive contract from Carolina. They didn't replace him. This is patchwork on the interior of the offensive line. And once again, the Dolphins are sitting here hoping and praying that some of the flaws can get worked out with, quick quarterback reads, get the ball out of the hand very quickly. It's not sustainable. And we saw that last year. It is not sustainable. So right now with the guard depth, you have Isaiah Wynn penciled in as your starter on the left, and on right guard is Robert Jones, who had some spot duty last year, and Isaiah Wynn was okay in his playing time last year before he got hurt. I think it was week 6 or 7 he was injured. The Dolphins have to really address this. And, I'm going to get, again, towards the end of the show, get into the Tua contract and the breakdown, what it did for the team, and why we're in this part of summer with the amount of cap space. Chris Grier better be on the phone looking for starting interior offensive line. Aaron Brewer's your starter at center unless he's hurt. They signed him in free agency, 3-year contract, $21 million. He's your starter at center. That's in permanent ink as of right now. But they got to sort out the right and the left side in regards of guard play. We don't know when Isaiah Wynn's coming off PUP. He gets consistently hurt throughout his career, so can you rely on him? And what's behind him? Unproven. Or if they are proven, they're not very good. So the Dolphins need to find either a starting left guard or a starting right guard. They have draft picks. They have cap space. They can get this to work out. But they need to find someone. I do not have a plan. I do not have names in front of me. But it's got to get addressed. This season is far too important to continue to rely on unknowns at these positions. In addition to the issues that are plaguing the offensive line, they're having a hell of a time trying to block these guys in camp. Now, Teron Armstead will be back. He is going to be in camp on Tuesday. And if you're listening to the podcast on Tuesday, he's going to be there today. And he's going to start practicing. The Dolphins are going to treat him with kid gloves. They don't want him to get hurt like he did last year, where he misses the first couple games of the season. They want him ready to go week 1. So they are going to give him some work. I don't think they're going to give him a massive workload. I would be stunned to see him very much in the joint practices as we progress over the next couple weeks. But the offensive line is getting absolutely abused by guys like Neville Gallimore and Isaiah Mack. The rookies, Muhammad Kamara and Chop Robinson, are having field days with guys like Keon Smith and Patrick Paul. The offensive line has time to get their stuff together. But when you read these practice reports of the struggles and how these guys are getting worked for potential sacks and rushed plays, it's a problem. Plenty of time to get it addressed, but it needs to be addressed with potential guys that might hit the market in the next 2 to 3 weeks as we progress through summer. Find a veteran player. Greg Van Roten is still floating around out there. Bring him in. What do you have to lose? Van Roten has played in this league. He's played more than Robert Jones. He's not as injured as a guy like Isaiah Wynn. Bring him in. You got nothing to lose. And my last piece so far in regards of camp and some of the struggles, the backup quarterbacks. Oh my God. They have been not good. Painfully. Just rating it. It's like, oh my God. Per circle for Tua's health. Make sure he stays healthy all year. No minor injuries. No time that missed. Because if we have to, as a fan base, watch Mike White or Skylar Thompson try to run this offense, it is going to be a train wreck. And based on reports, the timing is off. The timing is slower, much slower, with Mike White and Skylar Thompson in regards to processing in comparison to Tua Tagovailoa. So, and with the release of Gavin Hardison, they still need to find another quarterback. They need one. Because you're not going to throw Tua to the Wolves in these preseason games because it's not worth it. He's making $53 million on average. No reason why he should play any more than a couple series in the preseason. My opinion. But they got to get better in that area. Whether it's improvement from the guys they have or if they bring someone in, it's extremely important that the guys that are behind QB1 can step in and not necessarily play to the level of QB1, but they need to be good enough. And right now we're not seeing it. Again, yes, I know it's early in camp. The sky is falling on this podcast for me, but that's my opinion. Now, Mike Oliva talked very little about the Miami Dolphins who have cracked the top 100. He says the list is meaningless. I'm going to tell you why that's not true. This list is compiled by NFL players, not national media, NFL players, their peers. So why is this list important? Well, to me it's important because it's validation. It's validation of the roster that has been built. It's the validation of the work that the players have put in. And the rankings of these guys so far for the Dolphins, there's 6 guys on the list. And obviously we still got guaranteed one more with Tyreek Hill. I think he's going to be in the top 5. But this is justification. This is validation for these players. Armstead at 67. That's him missing a lot of time last year. Still 67th. Jordan Poyer coming over for the Bills. He was 65th. That's the veteran presence. That's the starting safety that we need. Jaylen Waddle at 63. Bradley Chubb at 62. Raheem Mostert at 60. And the list that was released on Monday night, Tua Tagovailoa comes in at 36. That is up from 82. And if you haven't seen the video yet, it's probably all over social media, or go to the NFL app. You can watch it there. Why is this important? As fans, why is this list important? Because, again, I said, it's validation. Tua went from 82nd to 36th. That is higher than Trevor Lawrence, who was at 94. Aaron Rodgers at 92, Kirk Cousins at 81, Justin Herbert at 75, Jared Goff at 48, and Matt Stafford at 42. So who are the quarterbacks likely ahead of Tua Tagovailoa at this point? Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. They're going to be ahead. Dak Prescott might be ahead there as well. He hasn't made the list yet, so likely he's going to be somewhere 21 to 30. 20 to 29, whatever it is. So Tua likely 8th best quarterback in the eyes of his peers. That's validation. National media narratives, people talking about that he can't do this, can't do that. His peers, the guys he plays with, plays against, see him as a top 10 quarterback. Better than the guy in the class, Justin Herbert. Better than a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who was number 1 pick the year after Tua. validation. And hopefully it continues, because if Tua continues to climb up the list, that means he had a better season than last year. That's all we can hope for. All right, let's get into the big topic, Tua's contract. And since this is my first show back for the foreseeable future with the regular season, preseason, obviously, regular season around the corner, you're going to hear my voice a lot more, whether you like it or not. But I do appreciate everybody for tuning in. So let's get into Tua's contract and the breakdown. We know the big number. We know it's 4 years. We know it's $212.4 million. What does it mean? How does it look? Well, no matter how you look at it, the contract is structured. His signing bonus for through 24 through 2028 is $13.4 million each year for prorated signing bonus at $67 million. His cap hits are important. Initial reports said that he lowered his cap hit down to about $9 million. That's not true. It is actually $14.5 from $23.1 million. So the Dolphins now hover around $22 million in cap space. So he gave him a little love there. His guaranteed salary this season, $1.125 million. And the Dolphins clearly are not going to cut him. In 2025, this is where the guaranteed salary goes to $50 million overall. His base salary is $25 million. His cap number goes up to $39.446 million. Now, this is where it gets intriguing. So, majority said that it keeps Tua in town for 3 years. That's potentially true, but his cap number in 2026, at age 28, his base salary is $54 million. And his cap charge is $68.4 million. 2027, $50.4 million cap number, $31 million in base salary. And in 2028, which is the final year of this contract, how it's structured is $41.4 million in base salary, cap number $62.8 million. Now, the way that I read this contract, it is very, very flexible. Very flexible. This essentially, right now, this is a 2-year marriage, no matter what. It's a 2-year marriage based on how the contract is structured. It gets very interesting when you get into 2026. And here's the reason why. If the Dolphins were to decide that this isn't working out with Mike McDaniel anymore, with Tua Tagovailoa, because they're joined at the hip, they can say goodbye to him. But they're not going to say goodbye to him pre-June 1st. It would be post-June 1st. Now, I'm not saying I want this to happen. I'm just giving you the facts on the contract. The Dolphins will save $55 million in cap space with dead money of only $13.4 if they cut Tua or trade him post-June 1st. If they were to restructure, again, this is why it's a very flexible contract, and why I feel this is really 2 years on this contract before they do anything with it. If they restructure him next year, if they want to free up cap space, it would be $18 million back on the books. But if they wait till 2026, and if everything is still working good, they either give him a new contract or they do a simple restructure of it. 2026 would save $35.356 million on the cap. So if the next 2 years work out fantastic, the Dolphins win some playoff games, win a division title, Tua is still the guy in 2026, the Dolphins will get close to $36 million on a simple restructure. Now, if they were to extend Tua, add a couple of years onto his contract, Dolphins would get in 2025 $19.3 million. Very unlikely they do any sort of extension with him after the season since they just gave him one. But if they decide to in 2026, it would free up $42.4 million. So, that's the breakdown on the contract. And again, this is, to me, it's a 2-year contract. Tua's got a lot of money. Got $42 million at signing. He's getting $50 million in guaranteed money, and over the next 2 years, between this year and next year, he's getting close to $52 million in guaranteed salary. There is no guaranteed money in 2026. No guaranteed salary. He has a base salary of $54 million, but no guaranteed. This is a 2-year deal, in my opinion, on how this contract is structured out. Again, if everything goes to plan, they win the division, they win some playoff games, hopefully get to a Super Bowl and contend for a title, they will redo this contract in 2026 to keep him around longer, give him his guaranteed money, but at the same time reduce those cap hits, because there is zero, in my opinion, zero chance he's near $70 million in 2026, and they keep that contract the same. So it's either a restructure or it's going to be an extension, or if it doesn't work out, they're going to release him and get $55 million back on the cap. So as Mike, Aaron, and Josh from the Same Old Dolphins show, what they said, and I am in full agreement with them. This contract is great for both parties to get some money. The Dolphins get flexibility, and both parties can be really happy in 2026 with another extension or restructure. Or they're parting ways with the quarterback, the head coach, and the general manager. This is a 2-year window for the Miami Dolphins to get it done with the current cast of characters. And we'll see where it goes. I think it was a great contract. I think it was deserved based on the last 2 years of quarterback play. I understand the injuries in 2022 with Tua. But last year and the year prior, he has been top 5 in a lot of passing metrics. EPA, yards per attempt. He's been up there. You can't deny it. It's facts. But the time is now for him and for Mike McDaniel to lift this team to greater heights. Winning records is great. It's been a while since we've seen an offense be top 5 in 2022 to the number 1 offense in the NFL last season. That is tremendous. I love watching offense. It's been a long time since we've had fun watching these games from an offensive perspective. But now is the time, and they got 2 years to do it, to turn this thing into even greater accomplishments. Winning divisions, winning playoff games, getting to the championships. That will do it for my show. I appreciate everyone for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, or subscribe and smash that like button on YouTube. Also, if you are listening in podcast form, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, wherever you are listening to this podcast, make sure you subscribe to the channel so when we have new shows, you will be alerted to those. And if you are on Facebook, be sure to go to I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan, run by the great Carlos Hernandez, and check that page out. Also, big shout out to everyone at finheaven.com, the largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Go check them out at finheaven.com. I am out. I will talk to you guys soon, whether it is next week or on Sunday with Mike Oliva. We may be doing a show where we're breaking down some camp notes, give some opinions as we progress through summer, and get geared up. Yes, get geared up for the first preseason game in a few weeks against the Atlanta Falcons. But we're going to have shows for you each and every day here on the DolphinsTalk.com podcast. Thank you all for listening. I am out. Fins up. Let's go.
Thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast. Be sure sure to visit DolphinsTalk.com every day for all of your latest Miami Dolphins news.